Welcome back to the Sim Racing Show, everyone, your one-stop shop for all of the news in the world of sim racing. And this week's an exciting one because we're going to do a bit of a state of the union in hardcore sim racing. There's going to be no Forza this week, no Gran Turismo, none of that SimCase stuff. We're going to talk pure hardcore sim racing. So hopefully, if you're a hardcore sim racing fan, you'll enjoy this. We're going to talk about Assetto Corsa Competizione, iRacing, rFactor 2, Le Mans Ultimate, the sort of the big boy sims, and see where we are, because it seems to be a glorious time for sim racing. And just want to be clear, I'm not sponsored by any of these sims, just giving you my honest impressions as someone that's a fan of sim racing, involved in sim racing, loves doing sim racing. Let's start with iRacing. I feel like iRacing beat everyone to the news this year with Tempest. That was the big release that came. Wet weather racing in iRacing. They've also done other things like updated all of the cars to be on the new damage model. They've been bringing in loads of new tracks as well, loads of new cars. iRacing have been going absolutely gung-ho. And I feel there's more competition now in sim racing. I feel like iRacing need to do that to justify the very large sums of money they are capable of charging you to play iRacing. Now, you don't need to pay a lot of money to play iRacing. You can use my link in the description, see what the offer is on a new subscription, normally 40% off, and then you can actually go racing for a reasonable amount of money. You're probably going to want to buy some cars as well, but you can buy like a GT3, maybe buy a hypercar as well, maybe buy a couple of circuits, like real world circuits, like Le Mans, like Spa, like Silverstone, but you can broadly go racing. And I've been having a lot of fun on iRacing recently, in VR especially, doing weird combinations, weird cars that I haven't done for a long time, going back and doing the starter cars, doing the Formula V, doing the Mazda MX-5, doing the FF1600 as well, and having some great battling. So iRacing is in a really good place right now. It is expensive though, and I feel like it's setting a sort of market trend here. Because let's switch gears and go to Le Mans Ultimate from Motorsport Games. They released this in early access. Now it's very clear to me why they've done that. The reason why they didn't wait for the full release, they released it in early access, was to get ahead of Le Mans. It's the official sponsor game of the real Le Mans in real life, Le Mans 24 Hours. And you can see why, because Le Mans this year has been a really exciting race. I streamed a lot of it on this channel, watch along. You've got in hyperclass category, you've got Toyota, you've got Ferrari, you've got Alpine, you've got Peugeot, you've got Cadillac, you've got Lamborghini. You're absolutely stacked. You've got Porsche. How can I forget? You're stacked with hypercars. And next year we're going to have Aston Martin as well. Obviously GT3s now. It's more of a coherent playing field with GT3s, no longer GTEs in the real world W Endurance Championship. And the more fans you get of that, the more people are going to want to drive those hypercars. And the best place to do that probably is in Le Mans Ultimate. I am a bit worried there because Le Mans Ultimate is going to charge you now to drive new cars. Like the honeymoon period's over. You're going to have to pay to drive the new GT3s. You're going to get 2 free. You're going to need to pay to drive the new hypercar. So they've just given us a BMW for free. You're going to need to pay for a season pass. So you're going to have to pay to play Le Mans Ultimate. And I think that's taken after the iRacing model. iRacing sort of justifies it for them to do that. They haven't gone after the sort of ACC model, or maybe it's a hybrid. ACC is still an expensive game if you want to download everything. At face value, often goes on sale, but if you want to download all of the new cars, all of the tracks, you have to get the various DLCs, which I've got. I've got every single DLC that's ever come out on ACC, and it's great to see them come out on console as well. I don't have them on console, but I have them on PC. And that's a different way. They bundle together. It's generally cheaper than the iRacing method. So you've got iRacing super expensive. Le Mans Ultimate is now trying to charge season passes, and you've got ACC. ACC, let's get on to ACC. Nordschleife has come, great for GT3 racing. However, now, I want to hear your thoughts on this in the comments. Is ACC getting squeezed from both sides here? It's getting squeezed by iRacing, and it's getting squeezed by Le Mans Ultimate. And, oh my god, it's ACC in the middle. ACC is a tired game. It's an old game now, but ACE is coming. The sequel is coming, ACE. That is such a huge game for sim racing because Assetto Corsa, the OG Assetto Corsa, has become what it's become because of mods. Let's be real about it. The mods are incredible. You can make it the best looking game in the world. You can drive down highways. You can drive pretty much every car. You can do crazy races. Assetto Corsa with mods is honestly, I think it's the most played racing game. Like if you look at Steam, Assetto Corsa is right at the top. I think it might be more played. I know I'm not meant to mention it, but I think it's more played than Gran Turismo, and no one's really playing Forza at the moment if you look at the concurrence. So that's Assetto Corsa. But what are the developers going to do for the sequel? Are they going to make it open to modding or not? We've seen some weird stuff in the sim racing space. For example, if you think of Race Department was where sort of all the mods were stored. It was a community forum, people uploading mods. Not strictly legal, but it's in that grey area, and it facilitated particularly Assetto Corsa. That was bought entirely by Overtake.gg. So Overtake.gg bought out Race Department. They wholly own it. Overtake.gg is actually the marketing, sort of digital marketing arm of Porsche. I did some investigative journalism back in the day on this, where I had to go through all of like the accounts and the filings and match up addresses, and now they disclose it. But you know, a big company like Porsche owns Race Department, so you can see that's a slightly different view on how sim racing should be done. Porsche license out their vehicles, so they've licensed it out to Forza. You can get it, as I record this video, you've got a few, I'm not meant to mention these SimK games, but I'm still doing it. You can get the Porsche 963 Hypercar in Forza for free for a couple of days before you have to pay for it. But that's the model, you know, Porsche, you know, they may have insisted that, you know, people need to pay for it to have a premium sort of perception of the car and whatnot. I don't know, they haven't licensed it into Gran Turismo and whatnot. But that's the sort of the way the winds are blowing in sim racing. So what is going to happen with this Corsa Evo? Really interesting question. I've got a dedicated video coming on that for you. Now, other sims milling around. We've got stuff like Race Room. It's still releasing loads of content. We've got stuff like R Factor 2 with their new race control system is still milling around. We've got stuff like Rensport. I mean, you look at videos of Rensport, it looks great. The graphics look great. It looks amazing. But you can't really play it. They just seem to be getting a load of Saudi money for esports, but not forgetting the actual sim racers. So there's many different aspects now of sim racing. It is, I think, to be honest, the best time to get into sim racing. Like in terms of my content creation career, this is without a doubt the best time. Like I remember the Baron years. I remember, you know, iRacing was the only place you could sort of do this kind of stuff. Now there's competition. And it's really important we keep these developers to account. It's really important we let them know, hey, you know, this feature is not working, we want you to do this feature. And it looks like some developers are starting to listen to that, and the games are improving, the sims are improving, and it gives us choice. No longer are you locked into a certain sim, and if you don't like the tyre physics, and it's kind of tough luck, now you can choose many different sims. It's very difficult, I think, for new sim racing games to come into the market now because it is so established. I mean, Le Mans Ultimate, it was a rocky one, and it could have, if the servers had been down or if it had been really bad, it would have been absolutely trash. They've just managed to navigate through that, I think. But then you go up against ACC, iRacing, all these big incumbents. So it's a great time to be a sim racing enthusiast. It's probably a difficult time to be a sim racing developer. Areas I would like to see more, I'd love to see more focus in VR. Stuff like, you know, using APIs. So when you're racing people in VR, you can see their helmets turning as you're racing. More sort of bespoke UIs for VR, like in iRacing or ACC, have a bespoke UI. They seem to be very sort of like they've just taken the existing UI, just placed it there, and it sort of ruins the immersion. I'd also love more features for beginners. You know, I have my iRacing beginner guides. I'll link it in the description. But I don't want any elitism in sim racing. I don't want any sort of gatekeeping. I want, you know, anyone coming in to have the best possible first experience they can have, and hopefully they will enjoy sim racing. It seems like real world motorsports is in a boom as well. Like there is real world motorsports going on all the time, and it's, you know, very highly with a massive presence and broadcasting behind it. That's going to get more people into racing. So great time to be in sim racing. I just want to do a state of the union of the big sims. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if I've forgotten anything, and we'll be back pretty soon for the next sim racing show. I'll see you next time.